days away from a breakthrough deal, only for the IRGC and Tehran to kind of scupper the whole thing. But as far as the OPSEC, thankfully our military, and I think the president posturing, it definitely gets the Iranians nervous because there's so many things that they can do. So as long as there's lots of options, signaling and posturing hopefully gets the Iranians more nervous to make a mistake.
Captain Sadler, Brent Sadler, retired U.S. Navy, joining us here on News Radio WRVA. But isn't that what you and I have kind of talked about? I watch you with other hosts and on other programs. But I don't know if anybody else brings this up. We don't speak the same language they do. We don't have the same culture they do. A strong man is a strong man is a strong man, and they don't respond to anything but pressure and strength. So if Donald Trump says, well, maybe we want to have something, or if he goes out, we're going to take over Cargill, or we're going to blow you out of the sky, that gets their attention.
Oh, yeah. I think because he's followed through on threats in the past. And quite frankly, sometimes the timing's in question. Like he says, it's going to be in like 2 weeks, and then he attacks in 3 days. This was Midnight Hammer comes to mind in that regard, going after the bombing campaign against Iran's nuclear program last summer. So, yeah. So you have to mean what you say, and it has to be demonstrated in real, actionable terms before folks, thugs like the IRGC will start to heed you and respect you. And I think they're getting that, but we still, unfortunately, have a way to go because the IRGC, I have a suspicion, is going to try and scupper this deal yet again.
Okay, I want to go there. I want to follow up with something. I happened to walk into my office when you were talking with Lawrence. I want to follow up on something you guys talked about. The mixed messages that we're getting. Donald Trump also let the cat out of the bag. Listen, I'm talking with the politicals, and then the IRGC scuttles the whole thing. We're getting mixed messages out of Iran right now. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Because the IRGC can't say, hey, listen, that's it. We tap out. We're opening up the strait, and we're giving up our nukes, because then all of a sudden that would be key for the Iranian people to realize they don't have the power they do and knock them off the throne.
Well, I mean, the reality is the IRGC, there's actually several different power centers in Tehran. And since the senior leadership, the former supreme leader, was taken out in the first day of this conflict, it's kind of equalized them out. The IRGC is certainly the most ruthless and probably the dominant military political power inside Iran right now, more than the professional military. So they're going to be a force. They act independent. And one of the things you can do, and it's in the art of the deal, is know your market. In this case, know the political environment inside Tehran. Got to actually erode, degrade, mitigate, attack IRGC political and military power to really change the dynamics and the negotiations. And I think that's what happened the last 2 days of attacks. And I think that was what was going to continue. And if the IRGC does pause things, if there's any kind of delay, I think we need to pick right back up there, because it does seem to work to get things moving forward.
And again, I think a lot of people miss out that Donald Trump comes from the business world, not the world of diplomacy. He's transactional, and that's different than we normally have in diplomacy. One thing I wanted to bring up with you, and I'm starting to hear this, and it scares me a little bit. Brent Sadler joining us right now from the Heritage Foundation, 708. I'm starting to hear people have mission creep, meaning we went in and said, no nukes. That was it. Got to get rid of your nukes. And then they closed off the Strait of Hormuz, and we said, we got to open that up. Nowhere ever did I remember this administration talk about regime change as one of the specifics they were looking for. If it happens because of taking away their nukes, hey, so be it. Yeah. But I'm also starting to hear people as we get closer to the goal line going, well, what about the Iranian people, having them rise up, overthrow the mullahs and the Ayatollah and the IRGC, as if they're rooting for that? This mission creep is what usually gets us in trouble. I wanted to get your thought.
Well, to be clear, we're always going to have a problem with whoever's in charge in Iran if they have the same threatening, focus, ideological bent, which they've had, death to America, and they've actually killed over 1,000 Americans, and they still want to kill many more of us. If they still have that kind of mindset, we're always going to have a problem no matter what deal is struck in the next few days. But that being said, there's no indication the president has asked for, and certainly the military, you can see it, has not been setting up the forces needed for a forceful regime change where you march into Tehran and you dictate the terms to the Iranians and you pick who's going to lead a transitional government. No indication of that, thankfully. I also don't think it's necessary. But clearly, I think we have to maintain leverage, and we need to continue to degrade Iran's options, take them off the table to threaten U.S. lives and U.S. interest and their neighbors in the region, to include Israel. And that requires leverage. Controlling the blockade is a great form of leverage. That's going to stay in place, I think, for quite some time until real results, maybe the nature of the regime changes. But I wouldn't say regime change is different than changing the nature of the regime, if you follow me.
No, 100%. I mean, a problem is a nucleus Iran. An issue is North Korea with the bomb. They're two completely different things. And the pressure that Iran would put in the Middle East and the rest of the world with the bomb is incomprehensible for people who are sane. So I wanted to bring that up. You just said something. Mean what you say what you mean. And that's where I think a lot of people are. Donald Trump's, I think, in this spot out on this limb, if we get this deal done and Iran backslides on it, I don't think he has any choice but going in there and hammering them and hammering them and hammering them. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're dealing with people that we've seen for years are never honest. They're not honest negotiators. They don't broker in good faith. And they say one thing and do another. How do we square that up where we're going to have to trust them, but they've never let us verify?
Yeah, no, that's we need real tangible results. It certainly can't be a repeat of anywhere near the JCPO agreement that Obama signed and delivered plane loads of cash. And thankfully, I think the attention and the transparency on that issue is keeping that off the table. But an important distinction between the business world and the world of diplomacy and geopolitics, and that is you might be able to build up a lot of momentum and talk up an initiative or like a project, a business model, a new product announcement, and get people excited for it. That doesn't translate well. And I think part of what's confusing a lot of your listeners, and certainly me from time to time, is applying a business kind of approach to building up momentum and excitement for something that just doesn't translate well, because the politics and the military angles of things are very different and bounces very different, that excitement inside Iran. So what we need is more insight as to what's really happening inside Iran to know if we're really making progress, certainly on the regime changing its nature. If they're killing their protesters, we got a problem.
It really is. It really is Charlie Brown of the football, and Lucy keeps pulling it away, and we keep doing it over and over and over again. We got a minute here. I'm just going to ask you an elementary question for our listeners, because this keeps coming up, the JCPOA, and we have the Democrats going, well, that was a great piece of negotiations, the JCPOA, and then Obama did it and Trump tore it up. I know it wasn't a good deal, because I know they were eventually going to get their hands on a nuke. Can you just in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, however you want, explain to us what the JCPOA was and why it was flawed?
Well, I think with the limited time, it's important to note that before the ink was even dried on the JCPOA, the IAEA, an international non-American organization, had already made announcements and studies that the Iranians had and were continuing to lie about their enrichment programs, and that there were highly likely additional sites that they were hiding. So the Iranians were cheating on it before the ink was even dry on that, and the plan itself was only like it only had a window of time in which it was enforced. And the sanctions that were the leverage also would have faded away, regardless of what the results were. So the JCPOA, all it did was kick the can down the road into whoever would have been president and in leadership in the world as we speak right now. And very likely Iran would have had a nuclear weapon if everything had been left to just proceed the way it was.
Okay, my goal for you this weekend is I hope I don't have to see you on TV. I hope everything goes well. I hope you don't get called from TV producers at 3 a.m. Captain Sadler, we need you on set right now. I'm hoping that you can enjoy this weekend. We'll see what happens. We'll see whether they get together, the deal gets signed, or whether the Iranians keep their word. But I do appreciate it. Listen, I've told you this before. You do a great service for people, helping us understand what's really going on. And I'm always indebted for you coming on the show.
Absolutely. Love it. Come back anytime, I hope.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Captain Brent Sadler, retired U.S. Navy. He's been on top of all of this and makes so much sense. So when somebody tells you, well, Obama had a really good deal. No, Obama did not have a really good deal. The JCPOA was the agreement that Donald Trump tore up. The Iranians were already cheating on it before they even signed it, having secret labs and secret centrifuges and secret uranium stockpiles that nobody knew about. Then they limited the amount of inspection you had. And even if they had kept their word, which they didn't, the thing had a sunset clause and they would have ended up with the nuke just 10 years down the road after Obama was out of office. It was an awful deal. We'll see how this one turns out. All right, coming up in just a minute, we're going to turn the page. It's a Friday. I don't want this to be all doom and gloom. One of my favorite comedians. You might know her as the nail girl. Oh, you want nails? It's hilarious. Her name is Angela Johnson. I had a chance to catch up with her. She's got a special coming out on YouTube for free. She is hilarious, and she's absolutely a sweetheart. She's going to join us next on News Radio WRVA. Today's program is brought to you in part by A+ Roofing. Okay, I just got to warn you, the longer you wait, the more you're going to pay. What? What are you talking about, Rich? Supplies that's going to take to fix your roof are going through the roof, and if you wait, you're going to pay more. Lock in the price today by calling A+ Roofing, 804-752-0008, 804-752-0008. Get a free estimate. Lock in that price. You don't have to get your roof done today. You could do it next month. You can do it whenever. But as long as they get their hands on the supplies, put them aside for you, you get that pricing. If you wait and they've got to go find those supplies later, you're going to pay more. So call them right now, 804-752-0008, or go online to aplusroofing.com.
My name's Jack, Virginia Energy Sense spokesplug by day, energy crime detective by night. These kitchen appliances are throwing a midnight rave, and your wallet's picking up the tab. Chargers sipping juice like it's happy hour. Unplug them, and that's more cash back for the good snacks. This case